Hey there, guys, gals, non-binary pals. This is Attempt 6, and last night I had a hell of a conversation with someone who should have known better. Over the course of this conversation, somehow we got on to talking about the the schools in Canada where they're finding all the bodies, and that made her ask, for some bizarre reason, now, am I really fuzzy on camera, or am I just like, I don't know. It might be better. That got her on to asking the immortal, the eternal question that every queer person has probably heard at one stage or another. Are you queer because you were abused? No, numbskull. I was abused because I was queer. That's how it works. That is that particular phrase is part of the narrative of LGBT folk being a threat to children. As if we are going around the world abusing children in order to make more queer folk. We're really fucking not. A lot of us, I won't say most of us, but a lot of us have been bullied or abused in one way or another because we were queer before we even realized we were queer. And the reason for that is you're going to be different. Now, everyone is different, but they fit into a certain scale of normality. Queer people quite often overlap into different, what I think of as different scales, different octaves of normality. Like, I can be a real femme foo-foo. I love girly stuff. I really want a giant fluffy unicorn for when I've got my whole shed done, because I've always wanted a giant fluffy unicorn. But I also own a ridiculous amount of power tools, and I'm a hardcore gamer, and I like a hardcore gamer to the point where I'm currently playing The Witcher 3 for the first time on the highest difficulty setting because fuck it, challenge. But that doesn't reflect my being brought up as male, and this is what I'm getting to. So, to some people's minds, I am queer because I was abused. In reality, I was abused because I was queer. And I was abused because I was queer because while I was trying to fit in, trying to convince the guys around me that I was just one of the guys, all the time I was saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing and not realizing it, not understanding it was wrong. Wrong. Incorrect for the environment. And that led to me getting the crap kicked out of me more than once. I ended up in hospital in primary school. At one stage I was beaten so badly. And that continued until I was halfway through high school, at the point where I finally ran out of fucks to give and started giving them back. I want to tie this into the whole concept of being socialized as male. First of all the male spheres I was in. I played rugby briefly. I was banned rather quickly. Turns out I was too aggressive. Like, way too aggressive. I was a rock climber, which at the time was very stereotypically male, even though most of the best climbers I knew at the time and to this day were all female. I was a scout. I was a really good scout. I was a mountaineer. I did kayaking. I did an awful lot of stuff that would have been considered very masculine. Ironically, of course, with the scouts, that was what led everything to get worse, and I went from just physical abuse to sexual abuse, but we'll park that for today. So, there I am in all these very male-oriented environments, and all they did was horrify me. I mean, absolutely horrify me. Certainly teenage boys at the time, and men in their 20s at the time, and it may still be pretty much the same. I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't. and there's no need to go not all men. I know not all men, but enough men are absolutely horrifying when they're on their own with other men. And I mean horrifying. I mean rape jokes. I mean jokes about killing women. I mean jokes about, and they're not even jokes. If they really thought they could get away with it, some of these guys would have done it. Just generalized, deep-grained misogyny. I am not surprised that this incel bullshit has come up in the last 10 years or so, because the beginnings of it was already there. And I'm stuck in this group, surrounded by people talking in ways that just horrified me. And I didn't want to join in. So I didn't, which othered me. Because clearly there was something wrong with me, something different, something, I don't know, faggy about me, since I didn't want to talk about girls as if they were, lumps of meat that just existed to be used, and then thrown to one side. So even when you're socializing as male, you're not, because you know you're not. Even if you don't know it consciously, on some level, you know that you're different. And that difference makes the normal day-to-day maleness of the people around you fucking horrifying to behold. Just horrifying. And then you're different. So even people who you think were friends weren't. I lost track of the number of times that people I thought were friends, guys I thought were friends, were really not. Like arranging to go caving and leaving me at the side of the road while they drove past. For no other reason than to be cruel. That's a pretty good example, and there are more. But I've lost track of the number of times that was things like that were done. And afterwards, I would hear from somebody else, or when they didn't realize, I could hear them talking about, they're such a fag. Queer bastard. Queer cunt. You can pretend to be something you're not to a degree. But unless you are literally the best actor on planet Earth, unless you are frickin' Dean Martin, you are not going to fool enough people that you will be accepted fully into those parts of society. And that degree of otherness will make you such an easy target for abusers of all kinds. Sexual predators will actively hunt out queer children. They will do so because those queer children quite often are drowning. They're drowning in fear. They're drowning in devastation, despair. They're lost. They don't know what's wrong, but they know something isn't what the world tells them it is. And they show up and they give a shoulder. And maybe they bring that person into a community and everything's going well until it isn't. And then they murder that child. And almost always they're straight. I know of one LGBT child abuser in a country that was filled with child abusers. I know directly of one. Just one. All the others were straight, or at least identified as straight. Queer folk don't do that because we know what it does. We know what it is to be reviled and abused and harmed, torn apart, ripped apart, broken, tortured and abused. So, no, I'm not queer, I'm not trans, I'm not a trike, I don't have a serious trans guy problem because I was abused. I was abused because I was all those things and I didn't realize it yet, and it made me incredibly vulnerable. And hopefully one person will see this video and realize that they've been thinking that for their whole lives and stop thinking that for the rest of their lives, because it is unbelievably harmful and unbelievably upsetting. So yeah, I'm going to stop there. I'm kind of getting upset again. The pride videos on this channel have not turned out to be very happy. But the other side of it is there's plenty of channels that will do happy. Yeah. Oh, I also decided I am going to carry on with these to some degree going forward, because honestly, they're pretty healing for me, and I have a lot of LGBT folk in my circle, mostly LGBT folk in my circle, and fuck it, I want them to be seen. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day. I am going to go and bury my head under a pillow and scream for a while. I'll be back again on Saturday, on Pride Day, with something. I don't know what yet, but we'll see. Have a great day, be good, and bye for now.